Welcome back to Basketry for Beginners and Beyond, episode 2, where we are going to be making cattail baskets using a very simple technique called plaiting. If you want to learn how to make a simple and strong and functional cattail basket, stick around. We're going to be going over it step by step. You're not going to miss out on any information. We're going to go from start to finish. Let's get to it. Plaiting is a very simple technique and is arguably the most simple, right behind twining. And it has a whole bunch of applications from pack baskets to drying trays, and it is very approachable for beginners. This pack basket uses the same technique as this cattail basket we're making today. To make this little basket, you're going to need approximately 12 to 15 nice long cattail leaves. You don't really need anything else to make this basket other than a pair of scissors can be really helpful, or a knife, and something for helping to tuck in weavers like a screwdriver, or you can even use a fork. You don't need to go out and buy anything special for this. Now, if you're not sure how to harvest and prepare cattail leaves and rushes for baskets, be sure to check out my in-depth video in Basketry for Beginners and Beyond, episode 1, where we go in-depth into the whole entire process from start to finish, how to harvest, dry, and soak basketry materials like cattail and rushes. Be sure to check it out. Now, plaiting is a really basic technique, and all we're doing is linking these pieces together in an over, under pattern. And so what we'll do first, let's just get these out of the way, is we will just first put one on top of the other, just like that, okay? Then I'm going to decide which one I want to start with. I'm going to start with the vertical one, up and down one here. And so this one is on the bottom. So this next one is going to go on the top, just like that, okay? And I'm going to try to keep it relatively even. And so since this one was on the bottom, the next one's going to be on the top, okay? They're alternating. And don't worry about them being ultra tight at first. We're going to snug things up as we go. So now what we can do is we will put the next one under. We have 8 pieces, so we're going to have 4 going horizontally, 4 going vertically. Okay, so now look at our pattern here. If I'm working from this direction, this one's under, then it goes over, then it goes under, then it goes over. So this next one's going to start over, okay? And it can help to kind of pinch down these as you're working. So it's going to go over. Look at that. This one was under, so this one goes over. Then look at the next step. Goes under, over, and what do you think needs to happen here? It needs to go under again. And don't worry if these all kind of seem loose at first. Once you get a few lines in, it's all going to start to hold itself together. Okay. So let's go on the other side here and do again, so we can try to keep it even. Again, this one was under, so we're going to go over. We know both of these. It's going to be like that. Bam. Can help to kind of persuade these get into place. All right, so this is already, even with that, it's staying together a lot better. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and this one's over. So the next one's going to go under. Okay, it's over, so it's going to go under.
and over the next one. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just flatten these out. And bam, there is our base. We can kind of snug these up together just like that. That's our base, just like that. So I'm going to go and check a form. Okay, we're just going to form this around the mason jar today. All right, so the base is it's pretty good. That's pretty good. And so you can imagine what we're going to be doing is kind of folding up the sides and working around that way. Just a little tip here, if you're working in really hot weather and you're noticing your materials are drying out, it can be nice to have a little spray bottle of water and just spritz things down as you're working. So it's not crucial, but it is very helpful now to find some way to hold all these spokes in place. And the way we can do that is by using another simple technique called twining. Now we're just using cattail here, and here I have a leaf. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to split this in half and make two pieces that are going to be obviously smaller but also more malleable, and I'm going to be doing some twining with that. So I'm just going to split this down the middle. Well, as best as I can. If you have a knife or scissors or something, do that. And so if you are making a basket, the smaller the width of your material, the more aesthetically pleasing or the more uniform your basket can look. It can just look a lot tighter. So now I've got two pieces. Next step is I'm going to fold this in half. One of these pieces I made. Just like this, folded in half. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a side I'm going to start on. I'm going to start on the bottom here. And I'm actually going to loop this around one of the spokes. That's all I did. I folded this in half, okay? Made a little loop and lassoed it just like this, okay? Now, notice that we have a piece that's on the top and we have a piece that's under. The piece that goes on top, similar to the plating, is always going to go under the next piece, and the piece that was on the bottom is going to stay on top of the next piece. And so I'll show you what I mean. Here we have a piece that is on top, and some people twist these. We can twist them today, we can leave them flat, but what we're going to do is I'm going to lift up this piece here to help me out. This piece was on the top, and now it's on the bottom. I'm going to cinch that up. It'd be really helpful to keep these tight as you're going. Okay. Okay, so now what do we have? Now we have a piece that's on the top, and we have a piece that was on the bottom. This piece that's on the bottom is what was on the top before. Okay, so again, the piece that's on the top is going to go under. And you can twist it if you want. It's going to go under. And again, this will all tighten up once you get it going here. And you can do a couple rounds like this. All right, so now we're on a corner. What are we gonna do? Oh no. We have a piece that's on the top. What do we know about pieces that go on top? They go underneath the next piece. So here we have a top piece. It's going to go underneath. And I'm just going to give it a little twisty twist just for giggles, you know. Then we have a piece that's on the top. Wow. It's almost like you know what you're doing. And as you're doing this, try to make sure you keep everything square. Okay. So now I have a piece that's on the top. It's going to go underneath the next piece. Just like that. All right, I'm going to do one more. Then I'm going to speed this up. Hopefully this makes sense. Okay. Again, we have a piece that's on the top. On top of this spoke. We have a piece that goes under. The piece that goes on the top always goes under the following spoke. Just like this. And again, you can twist it, you can leave it flat. Just try to make it tight as you're going along. The tighter you make it, the cleaner it's going to be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed and finish this. Okay, so now we're at the point where we've gone around twice. This is pretty stable. Okay, so that's what we want before we proceed. So now what do we do with these loose ends? Well, it's nice to end on a middle spoke instead of an end spoke. And what we're going to do is we're going to just tuck these ends in here. Okay, so it's going to help to have a knife or a pair of scissors or something, or a screwdriver. What we're going to do is we're just going to tuck these ends in. If they're a little frayed, we got to clean them up. Okay. So this one was going to go under. We'll go ahead and use the screwdriver to help us tuck this guy in. Okay. In general, we really try to avoid tying knots in basketry. I'm just going to kind of twist this. I'm going to kind of try to continue with my pattern. Over, under, with this. So I'm pulling the stuff tight as I'm going. Pushing underneath those weaves. Just like that. Then you'll have to make the call. This is enough, I think. So I'll make a trim. And that's my base. Yeah. Not too bad.
Now that I have my base ready to go, it's time to move on to the next step of building up the sides. The way we're going to start doing that is we're going to train our upright pieces first by just folding them over so they have a tendency to want to lift up anyway. Just like that. Okay. The more rigid your material, the better the training will be. It'll kind of like stay upright, but this cattail is nice and flexible, so it's not going to just like stay all perky and upright. Okay, so I've kind of trained them a little bit. Now I need to get another weaver. Okay, so here I have another piece of cattail. And I'm going to, see there's this thicker bit here. And I've tied the knot in it to check it. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, just going to trim this and discard it. Now, to start, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to trim this a little bit more. I want a thinner piece to start with. First thing I'm going to do is we can get our form on top of here. Is we're going to start on a corner, but we're going to go first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit of a hook on the end here. Because we're not going to use any tape or anything, so we need some way to kind of help it keep in place as we're working. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start over top of a corner, and we'll push it down. And we're going to try to keep it down, and we're going to go in an over under pattern around. What we're going to do is we're going to go around once, then we're going to cut it, tuck it in, and then we're going to start a new layer on top in an alternating pattern. So this is under, this next one's going to go over. Okay, it's going to go under. Kind of use
some sort of tool to keep it in place. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. This is where you could be placing some tape on this just to make it easier. It can be a little frustrating to get these first couple layers on. You notice I'm kind of pulling up as I'm pushing down. Alright, so now I'm getting back to where I started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out, well, I want it to go back over and under again. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and it's going to go over and under. Then it's going to tuck in. It's going to tuck in underneath this, under this weaver right here. So let's cut it. And it will tuck in just like that. Okay. So that's where I started, on this corner. Now I want to start on another corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my other corner. Let's make another little hook. Okay. And I'm going to hook it over this. I'm going to hook it so it goes over. Oh, I'm actually going to hook it so it goes under. Because I want this to be over. You see how these are doubled up? I don't want that. I want that to be alternating. So it's going to be over. Then under. over. Under. Over. Under, over. So you can see how the bottom one was starting to get loose. This is the struggle you have when you're first getting this started. You just need to get this started. Okay. And don't worry about it getting, I'm trying to push it down as I'm going, but it will come together, I promise. Over, under. Over, under. So we're starting to get to where I started, that second line. Not quite there yet. And it'll tell you if you're screwing up. It's a little bit of a tug there. Try to just tighten this up a little bit. I can trim that little piece. It's not a big deal. I can tuck it in. Okay. So I'm just going to give it a couple more. Tighten it up. Then I'm going to cut it so that it will tuck underneath the next weaver. Now pull it tight.
Okay, now I'm going to start on the next corner. Make my hook. And let's see, so this one was under, so I want this one to be an over. Just like that. Okay. And I continue on. Over, under. Over. Under. Okay. Now I came to that end, so now it's time to cut it so that it can tuck under. Just like that. I'll give it a nice little cinch down. So at this point I can go around and just kind of make sure everything's as tight as it can be. All right, so this is where I ended my last one. So I'm just going to give it a quarter turn. I'll probably start about right there for my next row. So I got another weaver, seeing where does it start to narrow to where I would want to work with it. Probably about right there. Okay, so now I get my next weaver. Okay. Remember to pull up. You know, as often as possible as we're working, we're just trying to tighten things up, make sure things are straight. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck under this one. Just like that. Okay. Now, just going to give it a quarter turn. And I will start, I'm going to start at this one right here. Again, make my hook. All right. This one's an under. I'm going to start with an over this time. Okay. So it's going to be an under, over, under, over. You see as things get more cinched up, oh, look at that. Something happened here. Look at that. I messed up. See how this
We got 2 overs here. It shouldn't be like that. So I needed to flip this around so it actually starts as an under. That's going to happen to you. See what I did there? My hook is on the outside now. And that'll get covered up when I come back around. So now it's over. Well, now it starts under, goes over. Under. Over. Under. Over. Under. Over. Over. Try to straighten out the spokes as you're going. Over. Under. Over. Or under. Over. Under. Over. Now let me come back. We actually have a bit of an issue here. So we can actually just set this guy on top of where our hook was. Because it's already kind of cinched in there enough. We can just kind of squish it into place. What I'll do is I'll just give it a couple extra wraps. And see, this one's pretty sturdy, so I'm going to tuck it under this one. This one's a little floppier, so it's not going to be able to hold. It's not going to be able to hold something I tuck in as well as this side. So oh, you see I messed up there too. So this should have been cut long enough to tuck in under this spoke. See? That's okay. I'll just go ahead and cut it at the end so that it can tuck underneath this, because once I put a few more rows on, it'll be fine. Again, just try to pull up on the spokes while you're pushing down on the weavers, making sure things are as tight as they can be. We're not making a watertight basket or anything, so it doesn't need to be like amazingly tight. We're just gonna be holding some berries or something in here, you know, just like something like that. So now I need a new weaver. All right, new weaver. I ended right about here last time, so I'm gonna give it a quarter turn. I'll start right there. I'm gonna start it so that I can have it as an over. So I'm actually gonna start it I'm gonna start it here, because a mistake I made here was that I made the hook and I hooked it to where my hook was sticking out. And that just seems to be a little more tricky. So if I have the option to start somewhere where I can do it on a under, to where my hook is tucked in already, I will do that. Yeah. Okay, so let's double check this. This is an over, so I can't do that there. I can do it on the one next to it because it's on an under. Even though my hook is going to be tucked under, the actual weave is going to be on the outside as an over. See what I mean? Okay, now we continue. We're going to do 2 more rows. Well, 1 more row after this. Yeah, we can end on this one. So I'm going to cut it so I can tuck there. Just like that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and go around, push down on my weavers while I'm pulling up on my spokes. Try to cinch things up as best I can. Alright, so now what I can do is pop out my mold. Look at that. It's not too bad. See, here's the one that we messed up on. That's okay. I can trim that out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is work on the rim. Okay, so for the rim, all we're going to do is a simple fold and tuck method. Okay, so what we're going to do is the ones that are on the outside, we're going to fold in, increase around that end, that last weaver. The ones that are on the inside, we're going to fold out, increase. Fold in, increase. Okay, so we're going to do that for the entire rim here. Now what you're going to want is some sort of tool. It could be a little wooden thing, or I'm just going to use a screwdriver to help me. And we just need this to help us tuck in.
So the weavers on the outside, we're going to be folding over and tucking in the weave below it. And so we can even go as far as weaving down into another stage, or we could just say and call that good. Okay. And what we can do is just pull down a little bit more. And trim. And it can be helpful to have some really precise kind of scissors that can really get in there. And there, you can't hardly see that. So sometimes we can get ones like this, and there's nothing that says we can't make it a little easier and shape things a little easier to get down in there. So this is one I might need some help with, actually, of a screwdriver. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and pull down a little more. Okay. So there's that. So I'm just going to go ahead and speed up here. Now I'm just going to do the same for the inside. So here's the finished basket after the inside spokes have been tucked in. As you can see, it's a pretty nice looking basket. It's all pretty tight, and let's look on the inside. And as you can see, the inside looks pretty uniform as well. There you go. If you want to learn how to make these little belt loops out of cattail cordage, I'll show you how to tie that up on the basket here. So I want to be able to tie it from the inside. Just going to make one loop here. Come back up towards the top. Got my Phillips head to help persuade. Okay. Then I've got another end here. And I can find a space. Okay. I can go back in towards the bottom. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so I just got it tied in there. And I can trim up those loose ends if I want to. Okay, so should be able to fit my belt loop through there. When you're ready for your next basket, don't forget to check out episode 3 of Basketry for Beginners Beyond, where we're going to be making a similar style basket, but we're going to be using the twining method. It's another really great method to learn for all sorts of applications. Hope to see you there.